Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pierre Coach Talk. Right now, I wanted to keep the series going by talking with some friends of mine who are fans of other teams beside the Panthers. So today, I have one of my closest friends, Mr. Aaron Becker, here to discuss his team, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Let's go.
All right. So starting off with this, Aaron, you are a lifelong Steelers fan. How did that come about as a guy from the great state of Kansas?
That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm going to blame my father on this one. So in the 70s, when the Steelers were, they were no good at all. They hadn't won anything for basically their first 40 years of existence. Mm-hmm. And the Immaculate Reception happens. And I think that, I think a lot of fans across the country kind of fell in love with the Steelers of the 70s, and that's kind of really kind of grown their fan base. You can see, those terrible towels, when you watch a road game, you can kind of see that a lot of them are around the country. And so it started with him. As for me, though, like the first time I remember rooting for the Steelers, I was 5 years old. That was before, we had all this fun Sunday ticket and all the different channels and everything. We had rabbit ears, and so you always get the Chiefs. We always just got the Chiefs, and I like the Chiefs. Joe Montana was playing for the Chiefs when I was 5, and they had a good team and everything. But there was one night where the Steelers were on, and they won a close game, and all the way to church, must have been the 3:00 time slot, because all the way to church, my dad was like, "Way to go, Steelers!" And I was like, "Who's the Steelers team?" And that's kind of where the first time I really loved it. So, from that point on, I enjoyed the Steelers. Greg Lloyd was on that team, and he had love Greg Lloyd. He had like the thick face mask, just looked intimidating and scary. And so that's definitely where it started for me. So I've been 5 years old, baby, and So
then, have you actually been to Heinz Field?
I've been. We were driving through the area one time when I was elementary school, and Three Rivers, back old school Three Rivers.
Yep.
And it was the summer, and the gates were open, and so I actually went down onto the field. It was actually a baseball field at the time, because Three Rivers could be both. I've been by Heinz over the summer as well. I've not been to an actual football game in Pittsburgh, though. I did check into it when they were winning. I checked into it, and the wait list was incredibly long. It was a tough ticket, yeah. But to try to get out there as a teacher, you don't really have a lot of days off, or make plans. If you're coaching, it's just like you just can't really take off a lot of time in the fall to try to go catch one. So I have not been there. My first game on Arrowhead, though, was a Steelers game.
Okay, that was
and that was 2003. So the Chiefs really gave it to them, that was a fun game. After I went to that game, it's like I need to come back as a Chiefs just when the Steelers aren't playing, because Arrowhead's fantastic.
Okay, so then with your life, you've had Bill Cowher as your coach starting off, correct? Or there was it okay? And
Bill was in year 2.
Okay, but then it transferred to Mike Tomlin. So Mike Tomlin's been your guy for most of your life, obviously 19 years. So then with him finally being gone, what's your opinion? Obviously everyone loves Mike Tomlin, so on and so forth. I assume it's the same, but obviously you're a fan. I'm just a guy who appreciates good coaches.
I don't look at the Tomlin years. I don't look at Tomlin and be like, that was a waste of time. That was a poor hire. I'm not in that camp. He was, from a leadership standpoint, he was a great leader, good communicator. When people got hurt, it was always the next man up. There wasn't any excuses. So from a leadership standpoint, I think he had the skills to be a head coach. And we won a lot of games, obviously, I think in his time that he was there, they were, 3rd, 4th, 5th in the league in total wins during that time period. And so, they were winning games. I like Tomlin. In that degree, I like Tomlin. I think the weariness that kind of set on us Steeler fans is just the last 6-7 years of just the same old. And And when we get to the playoffs, it doesn't. It's weird. It's hard to explain because, like, like your Panthers team was, one game below 500, but you competed. Like you competed
correct, yeah.
So I mean, like, some degree, you guys have like, hey, that was something. The Steelers haven't competed in a playoff game. And so we've been down 21 points at least in all of our playoff games since that 16 run that they made. And so it's just felt like it's kind of schematically we've run through 3 offensive coordinators. It's been the same. So we throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage more than anyone else, I think. Rodgers, like, yards per attempt in the air was like 2 or 3 yards, I think, this year. So I mean, like, we're not throwing the ball down the field. We don't work the middle, and we've had 3 offensive coordinators, and it's been the same. So I don't know. To me, it's I was ready. I was ready for a change, but you don't want the change to go from 9-10 wins to 5 wins a year, So it's
Correct,
I think we know it's like we like being competitive in December, but when we get to the playoffs, there really hasn't been a lot of hope.
Okay. Now, as a coach, I would kind of look at his tenure as very successful, like you're saying, but then at some point you run your course. If you're not constantly competing and actually have a real chance to be a champion in this league, because you guys are one of the top franchises in NFL history. You have 6 Super Bowl wins. You guys have never really bottomed out. Even the year you guys you got Ben Roethlisberger, you have the 7th pick. It wasn't like you guys were 2 or 3. You know what I'm saying? So there's just a standard of excellence that after a while, like, are we adapting to what's going on, or are we just content with just competing? But not even competing, I would say just content with just being average. So then why, with all the positive that Mike Tomlin's done, what do you think that came from? Because I would assume he would see it as well. So do you think it was him? Do you think organizationally? Do you think GM? Like, what was the biggest problem that you saw from you guys actually being real contenders like you were pre-16?
Well, I mean, the quarterback has been a major issue, for us recently. And I mean, you look at Russell Wilson, he didn't win in Denver. He got replaced in New York almost immediately. But we went to the playoffs with him. He started And so in that regard, you look at it like, I don't know, maybe Tomlin's doing something right, and then the other side. So I don't know. We haven't hit our picks. We swung and missed at Pickett. And I think that was when we missed. So but I don't know. I think it's a mix of scheme and a mix of, life without a franchise quarterback is kind of a miserable place to be. And I know he's making do, but schematically, there's some things, some clock management things. Like the Ravens game this year, when they burned through all their timeouts, on that goal line on the offense. It's like, what are we? And there's a lot of times where we'll call a timeout on 4th and 1 and then punt it. It's like, okay, what is? And so, so I think it's just kind of those general feel things. I don't know if I blame. I don't know enough about the organization to know. Khan, I don't know if he's had a great draft yet. Where he's picking a lot of guys he's finding. He's been able to trade away some guys and get a lot of value from them. That's kind of been his big thing. But as far as bringing in talent, it's kind of yet to be seen on that front.
Okay. All right. So then now you've entered the post-Tomlin era. As far as I can tell, there's been a couple guys that your organization's interested in, but what's going to be your biggest concern entering the post-Tomlin era?
My concern is, do we need to lose? Do we need to win 3 games a year? Do we need to step back to step forward? Our last losing season was that Roethlisberger year. We lost. We went 6-10 and drafted Roethlisberger.
Right.
And the year before, we were hovering around 500. They drafted Troy Polamalu. Well, that set us up for the next decade. We had a run at that point. And so do we need to win 5 games to be able to pick up the quarterback in the draft? Do we need to take my fear with one thing I appreciate about Tomlin, I appreciate about Pittsburgh is we're going to the winning mentality is every year. And,
Correct.
When you the Philly 76ers, when they started tanking like crazy, at what point do you stop losing, and is losing a disease at that point, how do you get out of that cycle? where you're like, no, we're like winning is the standard. So I don't know. I'm nervous that like it's going to have to get ugly before it gets better. And if it gets ugly, I hope it doesn't last for a long time. So, but to be honest with you, we haven't had a lot of hope in the last 4 to 5 years anyway. So, might not change too much.
Okay. In terms of names that you heard, is there anybody that kind of has you excited, or you're going, oh, I think he'd be perfect in Pittsburgh?
There's a lot of new names out there. I mean, a lot of guys I haven't really heard of. You might know more about some of these guys than I do. Shula fits I think the Rams DC, Shula.
Yeah.
I think he fits the guy that they've hired the last 3 times, Noel, young defensive coordinator, Cowher, young defensive coordinator, Tomlin, young defensive coordinator. Shula seems to be that guy. Flores, I have nothing bad to say about Flores. He seems to do really well wherever he goes. And so those two are the ones that kind of stick out. They are hot. They are interviewing Mike McCarthy. Have you heard this?
I have, and I was going to bring that up to you today.
Tell me it's not going to. Tell me that one's not going to happen.
Hey, so I was talking with my brother-in-law in our podcast together, the Sports In-Laws, and his push is he's a Pittsburgh guy. It's going to be a change for the Rooneys for just the sheer fact it's an offensive older coach, but he has a history of developing quarterbacks. And so if your issue is, hey, we need to develop a quarterback for the future, what better guy to bring in than a guy who has developed Aaron Rodgers? He's given Dak his best season. And when he was down in Dallas, it wasn't his fault. The offense was humming when Dak was healthy. So if anything, your offense is going to be efficient, or at least a lot more productive than what it has been the last couple years. So, and it's not a young DC, it's something different. And I know it seems like the Rooneys like to do the things that they like to do. I mean, you guys are still running the same 4-3 defensive scheme that you guys did in 1993, which again, it's a good scheme, but there hasn't been a whole lot of evolution in that defense. So,
well, thank goodness on offense we weren't running the wishbone, right? I mean,
Yes. Okay. So then, how about this? What about for you? What are some qualities you think your next head coach is? No matter who it is, offense, defense, from McCarthy to Flores to Shula to Signetti, whoever they want to hire. Who do you think? What quality? 1 or 2 qualities you think they have to be?
I don't know. Yeah, and I don't know if anyone's considered our head coaches to be schematically experts. I don't think that's one of the qualities we've ever had. Like Andy Reid's like that guy knows offense.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's ever really said Cowher and Noel and Tomlin were great at schemes necessarily or calling plays. But they all seem to have, a mentality, just this attitude and they were well respected, amongst their players. They were able to hold a locker room. I mean, you look at some of the Tomlin's locker rooms that he had. He had Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell in there at the same time. I mean, that's a dynamic locker room right there. So I think as far as just as far as overall team strategy would be one that I would like. These games that mean a lot in the last 7 years, it doesn't feel like Pittsburgh's remotely prepared. It feels like we underperform. The calls that we're making just seem to fit perfectly into what the opponent wants us to do. I would say over like that kind of like overall strategy, I guess, is kind of the one thing I would like. But just a good leader, someone that keeps the locker room in play, good team chemistry, and that way we can really put our best foot forward and make some wins.
Right. So then, do you think the organization's done a good job of handling everything, interviewing the coaches? You guys took a look at Khan, but obviously you kept him. Like, do you think everything's been running aboard? Like, it's not like as opposed to the Bills where their owner's just throwing guys under the bus.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough look, isn't it? No, the Rooneys won't do that. I guess that never sparked. I mean, like if you're going to brag about, I think the Rooneys like the stability. I think the Rooneys like saying we've had 3 coaches since '69. So I do think they really like that stability, but at the same time, I think that's what makes Pittsburgh a nice place to maybe we can draw on a good coach, even though we don't have the quarterback right now or a lot of pieces. And so, no, I think the Roonies are professional, and I think I think the organization itself is a major strength. So as far as Khan, I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough. I don't know if we've gotten to that point where we're looking at Khan because we've all been waiting on Tomlin.
Right.
But after this, I think it could be one of those things where Khan is going to need to start to deliver, because we're going to be in that next phase where we need players, and we have some contracts that are not great. I mean, all of our most expensive players are over 30.
Yeah.
How do we navigate that? I don't know. So I like the Art. I would say my only thing about Art, the second here, is I think he waited a year or two too long on Tomlin. Is the only thing. The fans started booing this year, and Pittsburgh doesn't boo. That's a Philly thing,
Yeah.
But when they played Buffalo earlier that year, we were division leaders playing for our lives in the playoffs, and we were never in that game. And the stadium got blown out. The stadium emptied in the third quarter, and they booed as they left. And I just thought it wasn't a good look, obviously, for the fans to do that. But at the same time, I thought, the Roonies, I think they waited just a tad too long. And the weariness of the fans, like the amount of patience the fans were giving Tomlin and the Roonies, just it ended. So I would say I've said probably a year or two too late to what's happening right now. And everyone's got a job opening right now, so I guess.
Yeah. What should the Pittsburgh Steelers? What do we think they should prioritize in terms of, like, do you think obviously with the head coach? So that's one thing they need to really prioritize. Or do you think, hey, we need to make sure we have the quarterback set? Or, hey, we just need to make sure our identity is still set, or the culture? Like, what is something that organization needs to prioritize moving forward?
Yes. Now, you nailed all of it, Alan. Is that possible?
How about this? The number one. How about this? Obviously, I said all good things, but you know what I mean? What is your top pick? Like, hey, if coming into next season we have this settled, I feel real good.
Well, I will tell you, the head coach needs to happen first. The scheme and the head coach needed to change. I was nervous about drafting the franchise quarterback, because I was afraid Arthur Smith, and I thought the scheme, they'd ruin him. I think Pickett, now looking at Pickett, I don't know if Pickett is a good quarterback. It doesn't seem like he's done very well the other places he's gone. But asking a quarterback to come in and just throw it to the flat, I don't know if that's the reason. I don't know if that's recipe for. So I was nervous about getting that franchise quarterback, and then we would just make him look terrible. So, I mean, that is the next thing that you have to – I think that's the next thing you got to do. We have to figure it out. We got to find who that guy can be that can take us to the Super Bowl. I don't think he's on the roster right now. So drafting is always kind of the best way to do that. But sometimes it takes a couple drafts, and I don't know, shoot, look at Bryce Young. He's not looking like he's the worst quarterback in that draft anymore,
which is crazy.
Stroud doesn't look great either. So
I talked about it earlier, where I was not that I was done with Bryce Young, but I was going, he's clearly the bridge. Like, I don't see him as a long term, but compared to what Houston has, they'd probably take Bryce Young because at least he looks like he can play quarterback consistently.
Oh my goodness.
It was crazy. Oh man.
But hopefully the coach we hire can do a lot of those things, but we do need a quarterback. We need a quarterback so the window can open up again, and we can go for it.
Okay. So then with some of the other teams in your division, Baltimore obviously getting a new coach. The Bengals, they still have their coach, but they still have all those talented players. And then the Browns are the Browns. Are you more worried about the Ravens figuring it out? Because they just hired oh my goodness.
Mentor.
Mentor, thank you.
Mentor, yeah.
Was that how'd you feel about that hire? Was that man, I can't believe they got that guy, or were you just like, hey, good luck to him?
Yeah. No, they've always been, Ravens are a lot. I mean, like Baltimore and Pittsburgh play a similar style. I think we enjoy playing defense, really well. And I think that's where it starts. And the run game and defense is kind of where things need to be. I think Mentor was a good hire for them. I think that's their style over there. It gets cold up there in the north, and so throwing the ball in outdoor stadiums in January can be difficult. So I think playing just having a good, solid defense. So I think that's a great hire for them. I've always loved their drafts. They always draft defensive guys. I wish the Steelers would get, and but they no, they do well. I think Joe Burrow staying healthy is probably, I would say, my biggest concern. Hopefully, he just keeps scrambling, and Cincinnati never drafts another offensive lineman, and he just keeps getting pummeled into the ground.
Right.
When he's healthy, they're tough,
Yeah. Kind of quick hitter question. Describe this season in one word.
One word. I would say finally.
Finally. Okay.
Finally, where things are changing finally, for better or worse. So,
pick one Pittsburgh Steeler that you would bring back in their prime for this team.
Oh my goodness. Ask Jim this question about Kansas City, and Kansas City's got a team. So and he said Derek Thomas. That was the obvious answer. I thought Tony G would have been another good one.
Tony G would have been.
But oh my god, I mean, I need 10 players, Alan. I need to bring back.
No, the question is one. As a principal, you should know this.
Yeah. All right, here we go. I'm going to say. I think I'm going to say Franco Harris.
Okay.
We just need a good locker room guy, wants to win, good running back. Run the ball. Pittsburgh runs the ball. We need to run the ball. Give me Franco. And I'll say him over a slew of other guys. I should have said Ben or Terry because I need a quarterback, but I'm going to say Franco. I like Franco.
Okay. Finish this sentence. The Steelers will win another Super Bowl when
Patrick Mahomes retires. We're not getting past him.
Okay. Look at the Patriots. If you get your quarterback right and you get a little bit lucky, you two can have a shot to win the Super Bowl.
It's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anything can happen. Anybody can get beat.
Yeah. And when the Steelers won their 2 Super Bowls, well, they went to 3 during Tom Brady's time. They never played. I mean, those were the years they never played Brady, though. Pittsburgh never beat Brady in the playoffs. So we just waited for the years to. I mean, Marcus Pollard,
to the Jets.
Pollard right? did the league a favor when he took. So that was one of the years. And then they lost to the Jets and they lost to the Broncos. So that was that's how they got by there. So you're right, it could happen, but things have to fall their way, obviously. But I don't know. It's hard when you're looking at Patrick sitting right there. It's kind of his league right now.
Right. What should the Steelers stop doing as an organization? They've done so many good things. What is something you've seen that you're like, we should probably stop doing this?
That's a good question. I don't know how to make this a leading. I would say, let's go with stop avoiding the middle of the field on offense. How about that? Throw us land.
Okay. All right. What is your message to other Pittsburgh Steelers fans?
The message?
What is your message?
There's a lot of uncertainty right now, I still think patience is probably the answer, right? I mean, and we don't have a quarterback, we don't have a coach right now, so we just got to hope things are going to get better, and kind of trust the process, right? So, but I don't know. Hopefully the Rooney's get a good guy in there. So hopefully that kind of takes care of it, and hopefully we can get a quarterback in the next year or two, and then we can all believe again.
Right.
So
absolutely.
we're
last question. What is your all-time favorite Pittsburgh Steelers memory? You mentioned your first one, so what is your all-time favorite one?
we've had a good, I had a good run when I was a kid until probably about 10 years ago. So there's a lot of them on there. I'm just going to say, I think the one that will jump out to me the most is the AFC Championship game in 2000. It was the 2008 season, so it was probably January or February of 2009. Pittsburgh was hosting the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, young Flacco, right?
Young Flacco.
Okay.
And the defenses were it was stymieing everything. I mean, Pittsburgh's offense, we could barely move the ball, but I think we had a slight lead, but it was still late in the game. And there's enough time for Baltimore to get some two worthless PIs, and kick a field goal and beat it. So, that's in the back of your mind.
Right.
But Troy Polamalu picked off Joe Flacco and ran it all the pick six, but not like a straight line pick six, like a weave around, go to the opposite side of the field, pick six. And he had to score, because if he didn't score, Pittsburgh was just going to kick a field goal and we'd still only be up by one score. And so he had to score. And if he did, then we're going to the Super Bowl against the Arizona Cardinals, which we just felt super confident that we could win that game.
Correct.
And so that was the one that probably got me off my feet, off the couch, on my feet, like 1 foot away. Go, Troy, go. I'd say that was probably number one for me.
Okay. All right. Well, Aaron, as a dude in my core group, as I would say the co-leader of it, I just want to say I'm just excited that you were able to get on here, talk to me about your favorite team. I would say I look up to you. You've been married to your wife for over 13 years. You have 2 great kids. You're a principal, a leader in your community. So, dude, just thanks for coming down and spending a little bit of your afternoon with me.
No problem, Alan. It's fun to do this. Of course, we talk football all the time, so
we'll
do it while the record's going. So that's great.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Hey, take care, be safe. And once again, thank you so much. I do appreciate it.
No problem.
Peace.
See you.